Morning.
Morning. Welcome to Halls, Tennessee. On this journey, we're going to be going from Main Street to, well, there's only one street in Halls. I'm Erick Baker, and I've lived in Tennessee my entire life. However, for the last decade, touring the world, I've only seen it passing by from a windshield. But finally, Tennessee is calling me back where I belong. There's a place you've never been. It's right where you want to be. I want to rediscover how great my home state is, and I want you to come with me. Uncharted. On today's episode of Tennessee Uncharted, we've traveled to my hometown of Halls, Tennessee. Located about 70 miles north of Memphis and less than 20 miles from the muddy banks of the Mississippi River, Halls was first established in 1882 as a railroad stop along what would later become known as the Illinois Central Railroad. Cotton gins founded here in the 1880s were among the first business ventures here. And driving past the miles of flat, fertile cotton fields surrounding the town, it's easy to see that agriculture is still one of the main cornerstones of this community today. But while farming may be its cornerstone, the backbone of this town is built around its people. And despite its small size, with a population of approximately 2,200 and a total town area of just 3.7 square miles, there are big things to be proud of here. There's only one stoplight in Halls, Tennessee. And when I was growing up here, the thing to do was to go uptown and ride around. Night after night, we'd drive in circles from Q-Mart to the car wash and back again until we ran out of gas money or it was time to go home. Lord only knows how many miles I've clocked on that main drag and how many times I've passed under that one dimly lit light. However, over time I grew tired of riding around in that same circle and started to look for the right shade of green in that light that might one day lead me out of town. Back then, I didn't think that one stoplight was enough for me. But now, coming back almost 20 years later, I'm not so sure. This time of year is harvest season. However, in this area, it's not only what's in the ground that's exciting, but also what's in the air.
Behind us is a 65-horse, three-phase electric pump.
Okay.
It's pumping an 18-inch column of water through a pipe, a mile worth of pipe buried under the ground to the waterfowl units. We'll pump up about 7 units on black bile refuge every year for the migrating waterfowl. No water, no ducks.
Yeah.
So it's that time of year. We'll pump from now to about Christmas, get the units full, and then hope the ducks come.
Totally. But I mean, there's so much work that y'all do. I mean, water is something that people take for granted or whatever, and we should have some grateful ducks and duck hunters, I guess.
This is one of the most time-consuming activities every year on these dry years is getting the water pumped up for the ducks.
Okay.
And everything you do all year is in preparation to get you to this time of year where it's time to turn the pumps on.
Because on the management area in the refuge, you're farming it.
We're farming.
Yeah.
We're planting corn. We're planting moist soil crops, manipulating vegetation and everything, getting the table set, the final touch, the water, to get them here.
Can we go and see where the water comes out? A beautiful fountain back here, I guess, but that's not just a fountain. That's where the water has...
That's one of our alfalfa valves from our pump. We make the run of 1 mile through the underground pipe. This is one of the points we discharge from out of this alfalfa valve, and we have a series of 4 of them here with us in this unit. When this unit's full, we'll shut this one off, open some more on down the line.
Okay.
We'll flood about 200, 250 acres.
Okay.
And then the remaining of black bile refuge will have to fill when Reelfoot Lake reaches its winter pool level.
Fills up, okay.
Everything at Reelfoot hinges on the Mississippi River.
Okay.
Mississippi River levels dictate what happens here. If the Mississippi River level is real low like it is now, and we shut these pumps off, the water we've gained it's taken us 6 weeks to get, we'll lose in about 3 days.
Man.
Through the sand veins and blows from the earthquake activity.
Okay. And, I mean, we've got ducks in the distance there. If there is no water here, the ducks...
There'll be no ducks. These refuges provide food and resting areas for them on the trip south during the hunting season. But more importantly, we can meet nutritional needs on their way back north when they migrate back north to ensure that they're in good nesting condition when they get back to the breeding grounds.
Wow.
I can remember as, a teenager at Reelfoot, duck hunting in the 80s was hard. You may hunt 3 or 4 days to see one.
Really?
But now they talk about the good old days. Well, we're in the good old days again.
Right on. So all the work that you're doing, you're seeing
everything's paying off.
Yeah. We are all a moment away from something that could change our lives forever. When it comes to enjoying the outdoors, I've learned that there are a lot of things I often take for granted. Thankfully, however, there's a program like TWRA's Moment of Freedom that is providing opportunities to ensure that everyone, no matter what, is able to enjoy the outdoors.
We're actually at Reelfoot Lake, Black Bayou. It's a handicapped, wheelchair accessible only duck blind.
And this is part of what program?
Moment of Freedom. Well, what the Moment of Freedom is about the creating opportunities, providing opportunities for men, women, and children that are confined to wheelchairs.
How did all this come about?
2012, went to a commission meeting and we sat down and talked to the commission and just told them a dream. And Commissioner Cannon actually took off with the dream and made it a reality. Mm-hmm. So 1 year later, the reality began, and so here we are at the end of the first year, and we've made a lot of strides within the first year. And we've got wheelchair accessible blinds at Chickamauga and the deer and turkey blinds that have been built at Cheatham. This is a 3-year, 21 site project.
Okay.
Is what it is.
Across the whole state?
Across the whole state. Most folks that are confined to wheelchairs do not have the opportunities. And, I keep going back to access and opportunities, and that's what the Moment of Freedom is about. You're providing that person if it's just for one moment within that day of something that they'll remember for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And that's whether it be they've harvested a big animal, they've harvested a duck, or they've been able to see for the first time a big bugling elk, in the mountains of Tennessee, or if they've been able to catch their first trout, out of a stream. So we want to be able to provide that opportunity, and we want to be able to give them that access to do it, and that's what we're about. A lot of people don't know that this is, we rely on funding, to do this. The agency does not supply the funding for these projects.
So how can people help with that?
Well, they can go to the website, which is momentoffreedom.org.
Okay.
Or they can actually go to the TWRA's website and scroll down, and our link is in the middle of the page there.
Someone who wants to come out and make use of one of these blinds, how do they?
Well, they can contact the main office at TWRA in Nashville, or they can contact their regional offices within each region to find out, or go on the website.
And that is momentoffreedom.org.
Momentoffreedom.org.
While we often have a tendency to write things off in life that we feel are more of the same old, sometimes it's taking a look at where we come from that frames our perspective in a whole new light. So today I've made my way to a place that's helped put Halls, Tennessee on the map, priding themselves on preserving relics from our past in order to give direction for our future. I've driven by Murray Hudson's store thousands of times, but this is the first time I've actually stepped inside. For me, this new discovery is almost like finding buried treasure in your backyard. Amazingly, the largest antique globe collection in the world lives right here in Halls, Tennessee. Until today, I had no idea that the streets of this small town could reach so far. Tell me about yourself.
Well, we have a farm that's about 6 miles from here, and the 6th generation there. After going through 5 different colleges, I actually came back to farm. The various schools I went to, I did a summer course at Oxford in England. So when I was finishing this course at Oxford, I went into Saunders on the High, really a nifty old bookshop. And toward the end of the course, I went in intending to buy a few of these little prints, and the prints that I thought about buying weren't nearly as attractive as the maps. And there was one map that was half a map of the county of Kent, and about yay big, but it had the cartouche, which is the title, the elaborate title, and it had swords and cannons and flags and crests and so on. I bought that and 51 other maps.
Oh, wow.
I carried those around for years, and I got out my maps and looked at them occasionally, and then one time I thought, well, wonder what they're worth now. Maps that I could locate had gone up 20 or 30 times what I'd paid them for them in less than 10 years. We went back to England, and I bought more maps, and I decided that if I was going to travel, I could write this off if it was a business. So I set it up as a business in 1979.
How many items total do you have? Do you know?
We've cataloged around 40,000+. We've still got 20,000+ maps, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 books, and over 700 globes, and about 700 wall maps, and I would say a couple of thousand prints.
So, I mean, why make this home base?
Well, because it basically is home for multiple generations, and it's inexpensive to operate here. Early on, I decided one of the hottest map collecting items in the United States was Texas. And I put an ad in the Texas Historical Society magazine. I got a call from somebody in Houston. He said, would you like to do a show down here in Houston? And I said, well, of course. It was incredibly successful. So, but all the time I was thinking not just about Texas, but about, you know, worldwide things, and having connections with various national libraries, state libraries, the Library of Congress. I did a lot of business by knowing the curators and what they were searching for in particular.
I mean, you've got tens of thousands of items. How do you find them?
By traveling, you know, which is what I wanted to do anyway. My wife and I traveled wherever the MCOS meetings were, you know, in Athens or London. I mean, we did all of South America. We did down the Amazon. There were no maps on the Amazon I could find. But we also went on the Trans-Siberian Railroad all the way from Khabarovsk to Moscow.
People who can come in here, what can they learn?
The first state map of Tennessee. And they spelled Tennessee the way the English did, T-E-N-N-A-S-S-E-E. Map of the Tennessee
That's not how you
state.
spell it? I'm just kidding. I mean, we got Knoxville.
And Nashville, or there's Sumner County, Tennessee County.
Memphis, is it?
No, Memphis is just a thought in Andrew Jackson's mind at that time.
So, I mean, as we look at this, and I mean, look at everything in here, why is this important?
Well, I think if you don't know where you come from or what your background is, you're really at a loss. You know, this just didn't come out of nowhere. We ran off the natives who lived here. We fought the French, we fought the Spanish, and then we cleared the land. It's a process, you know, and if you don't know the history behind it, you really are operating.
So in looking in the past, it's new perspective that we're gaining by looking at where we've been, right? And then maybe where we're going.
Right.
So far, since I've been back in my hometown, I've gotten a chance to get a fresh look at some of the places that I know the best. Now, it's time to catch up with some of the familiar faces, tolerating me as a 7th grade science student and walking me through my hunter's safety course. Paul Henderson has played a very important role in my life. So what better way to catch up and stay warm than piling in a duck blind and going duck hunting?
Years before I had a driver's license in my wallet, I had a hunter's safety card. Sandwiched between school pictures of old girlfriends with teased bangs and permed hair, it was by far the most important thing in there. It was a symbol of trust, knowledge, and responsibility. But more than that, it signified one step closer to being a man.
When we first bought the property, there was a blind sitting right over there. And guys Matter of fact, I think Ike Childress and CB
Yeah.
hunted down here. There've been blinds in this area since back in the mid-30s, probably.
On the way over here, you know, just telling me about how you've gotten into, you know, were introduced to duck hunting. I mean, you've been doing it your whole life.
Actually, I started going with my dad, and but my dad worked on the farm, and then we had a grocery store too. So he just really didn't have the time to go like I wanted to go.
Right.
And so this friend of mine that was older lived down the street, and he loved to hunt. Built a blind right over here and one up front, and we've been there.
On this property?
Ever since.
And y'all are still hunting together?
Yeah, he'll
today.
come up a couple of times duck season from Atlanta.
The outdoors, hunting, duck hunting, I mean, that's been part of what's forged
a
absolutely. Lifelong friendship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what has it meant to you?
It's just the anticipation of coming out here, and that, you know, not necessarily that you're going to come out and just kill something every time, but that, you know, you have a good time, and then there's stories to tell when you leave here that stay with you for the rest of your life, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
You forge a lot of friendships that, you know, are lifelong right here in this box, you know.
Yeah, man.
And,
you talk about that killing is not the most important. I mean, some people go out on the golf course, and that's how they hang out with their buds or whatever. But I mean, killing ducks, I mean, right now we're looking at some empty skies or whatever, but I mean, that's not the most important thing, right?
No, it's, I like to get everything ready for everybody and then see everybody have the fun. You know, if we kill some birds, that's great. You were working them, and that's what's pretty exciting. And then seeing everybody enjoy what I enjoy, really, that's pretty neat to me.
There's a duck. Right there, right there. So, you know, you're talking about you teaching me and all that, and you teaching me hunter safety.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that have carried with me. You know,
We didn't really talk that much about hunting in there. It was more about firearm safety and protecting the environment and realizing that our wildlife was a natural resource that we had, and we had to do something to protect it and keep it thriving and so everybody can enjoy it.
Well, and that's, I mean, respect for that, and then respect for the power of a firearm. And, I mean, and that's what I've carried with me.
Yeah,
and I mean, you did teach me some things. I mean, you believe it or not, you know. And that's, you know, it's a joy to be able to come back here and now to be able to share this experience with you. It really is. I mean,
happy to have you.
I appreciate y'all making room for us. Today we didn't fire a single shot, but truthfully, I'm not sure I would have had as much fun if we had. It's not the number of spent shells on the floor that makes the day. For me, today was about reconnecting. I talked about people and places I hadn't thought about in years, and I laughed harder than I've laughed in a long time. I found memories I'd forgotten, and I was reminded of how important it is to hold on to them. But today was about more than just old remembrances. It was about creating new memories as well. Not between a teacher and one of his old students, but between new friends. While we had quite a motley crew in the blind with us this morning, I still managed to fall prey to that fall chill. So I've ditched my crew in exchange for a colony of shops, that is, where visitors can not only find a unique shopping experience worth traveling for, but a tea room table to warm their bellies. So what do you say we head inside and see what's cooking? There's a big difference between a house and a home. And I believe that our many walls and tabletops and our living rooms and bedrooms have the power to tell a story. But when it comes to decorating, many of us find ourselves tied up in knots. Luckily, there's a place like Charlene's that can help show us how a little glitter, some old garland, and a big gold bow can go a long way. And in the age of shopping malls and superstores, this is one of the few places left where you can still talk directly to the lady whose name is on the sign out front. Anybody home?
Well, hey, Eric.
How are you doing, Miss Charlene?
Can you stay a little while and help us?
Absolutely.
That has to get dimensioned. So I need you to add these picks into that arrangement.
How did you get into this?
Well, what happened was I was just a gift store. And our friend, Miss Doris Arnold, lived in Jackson. And she was having her house on tour in Jackson, Tennessee. And she called and said, I need you to come over here and decorate this house. So I did. And then the public toured their home. And after that happened, then, even though that wasn't really something I had planned, the phone started ringing. And then I was in business decorating people's houses for Christmas.
Yeah.
It was a passion that I wanted to have, was to have my own business.
Yes.
And sort of just learned on my own with my customers' help.
Gotcha.
So we've grown together.
That's awesome. Why is a place like Charlene's important?
Because I've asked my customers that are very dear to me, they are able to get everything on one property. You know, we have a wonderful dress shop, and so if they want fashion, they can go there. If they are gonna meet with friends, a lot of times this is a central location. We're sort of the middle hub of all these different states that you can just cross the river and be here in 30 minutes.
Right.
And so they come together as friends. They come together as word of mouth. But the main reason they come is that they all have a focus of wanting to do something with their homes. We're gonna show you how you can display that table that this lamp needs to go on, or whatever other ideas that you have with no obligation to us. I've got to tell you about that.
Yeah,
it
really
actually looks like a real flame.
It even smells good.
I know, but you don't have to worry about fire of any kind.
So this is the eternal flame.
It is the eternal flame, except that it's also on a timer.
So that was way more work than I thought it was going to be, actually.
It is very exhausting, and that's why we need some chocolate and some coffee.
The fruits of our labor here.
We have over 410 companies that we buy from. So we try to keep it extremely broad, so if you come in and there's something in particular that you want, even if we don't have it, we've got the resources to find the certain piece that you're looking for.
Or maybe even something better than what you came in for.
Exactly.
So Rachel, you and I grew up together, and I mean, it's awesome that you're here now and carrying on the legacy. You know, it may
Trying to.
Will it be called? Is it going to be called Rachel's one day?
I don't know.
Her mother sure hopes so.
Yes. It's so great to see you guys again, and I really appreciate y'all taking the time to let us come here and to visit with you.
It's our pleasure.
Yes, yes. So cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Thank y'all so much. Here's to Charlene's and continued success.
Thank you.
These are the same streets I drove in circles when I was a kid. But today, they look different to me. These empty back roads and slow-moving streets now feel full of new possibilities. When I lived here, I spent so much time looking out,
that now as I look back in, I see there's a lot that I missed. Recently, I saw a tattoo that read, "In the end, we all come from what's come before." And coming back home has taught me the truth of that statement. Much like the thousands of migrating ducks that return to this area each year, Halls will forever be a refuge for me as well. Halls will forever be home. And after spending time here, I'm beginning to see how the cities full of stoplights I once wanted so bad can sometimes keep us from who and where we really need to be. There may not be a lot of people in Halls, Tennessee, but there's still a lot of living going on here. And this episode has shown me that of all the lights that have led the way in my life, I'd trade the spotlights and city lights for that one stoplight any day.